You've got lots of real estate questions. Should I downsize? What improvements do I need to make before I sell? What will Connecticut's real estate market be like in 6 months? It's time for The Real Estate Show with Pat Civitella. He's got your answers. Call 203-333-9422. Now, here's your host, Pat Civitella.
Hello to everyone, and good evening, and thanks for tuning in to The Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Pat Civitella, over 35 years experience in the real estate investing game. And this show is about creating long-term wealth through real estate investing and producing passive and residual income with real estate. I'm going to share with you my knowledge and offer my guidance and inside information that most people are not aware of. And I can also show you how to develop and generate a secondary or primary income from real estate investing. And on the show, we also discuss about home improvement tips, how to increase the value and the best return on for your improvements. So I encourage people to call. If you have any questions or concerns, please call early because the show does go by quick. And as Rich would say, as soon as I turn around, I look at Rich and he'll say it's already 15-minute break time. So call in early. The number here is 203-333-9422. That's 203-333-WICC, and this is 600 AM, 107.3 FM. And thank you for tuning in. And this show is brought to you by our friends at 1-800-MR-JUNKER, Junk Removal Made Easy. They will take the good, the bad, and the ugly. No need to do anything except for point to what you want gone. And they will do either one item or they'll do a complete house or business clean out. And 1-800-MR-JUNKER is ready to serve you. They've been serving Fairfield and New Haven counties for over 15 years. Please call our friends and mention my name, Pat Civitella, on WICC, and you'll get 10% off your job. Yes, that's 1-800-MR-JUNKER for all your junk and cleanup removal. Same-day service available. And they are also a hot tub removal specialist, and they offer free junk car removal. Call 1-800-MR-JUNKER today, and you'll be happy you did. Okay. We're going to go right into how to get how to get a hold of me off the air. The best number is 203-736-2484. That's my office number. Again, that's 203-736-2484. Or you can reach me at patcivitella@gmail.com. That's PATCIVITELLA@gmail.com. You can also reach me or join our Facebook group called Connecticut Real Estate Investors Group. If you have any interest in buying or selling real estate, residential, commercial, industrial, you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to call me at 203-736-2484. No obligation. We'll give you a price opinion. We'll get you the most. Try to get the most for you for your sale and get you the best deal for your purchase. Again, that's 203-736-2484. Okay, let's see here. We got the emails. Well, first of all, I wanted to tell Rich about my weekend. Father's Day weekend was a real nice time. We were invited to our neighbors, Vinny and Jody, and I want to thank them. They had a great picnic for everyone. It was a great Father's Day, and I tell you, the food was phenomenal, and especially his brother Augie. He does this. Smoked ribs or brisket. Brisket, that's what I'm looking for. I tell you, Rich, he does his brisket that is a killer. And I wanted to give him a shout-out. That's to Augie, and the name of his business is called Smoking Wise Guys Barbecue. And you can reach him at 203-919-7891. Again, that's Augie at Smoking Wise Guys Barbecue. He did such a great job. I mean, I could still taste that brisket today. I was thinking about it. So we had a great weekend, and I wanted to thank again Vinny and Jody for hosting that and for inviting us. It was a great time. Today I just got done. I was picking cherries with my granddaughters today, Mia and Juliana from our neighbor's tree. I want to thank Charles. he's got this great cherry tree in the middle of the beach. And, excuse me, I came upon it, I think it was last year. Yeah, I think last year. And I came upon it too late, Rich, last year, because I came upon it and a lot of the cherries already had come off, and like the birds were at them, at the squirrels. And I'm thinking, holy cow, look at this thing. And it was loaded with cherries. And it's very unusual to see that. And I thought, holy mackerel. So this year, I kept visiting it, like starting like in the beginning of May. I kept my eye on it, and sure enough, it was full at the beginning of May. It was, all the blossoms were coming out and everything, and then they started to pop out. And then it seemed like overnight, I checked it like once a week, and then the other day I went there, and they were all ready, all ready to go.
I think it's like the cherry blossoms down in Washington that they're out and then they're gone. And my mother has some trees behind her place that on the other side of the river here that all have that cherry blossom type thing on. I don't know if they're cherry blossom trees or not, but they're really very colorful, and they're there for maybe 10 days, and then pow, all the colors gone.
Yeah, that's like the cherry blossoms down in Washington, D.C. They have the big cherry blossoms, and also here in Connecticut. But this is totally different. There's no, okay. They're a little bit different than that, but we just got done picking a huge basket of cherries, and they were delicious. Again, thank you to my granddaughter Mia and Juliana, and thank you, Charles, for letting us pick the cherries on the tree there. And I think we got a caller online.
We have our regular Mr. Boz from
Mr.
Bridgeport.
Boz, how are you?
Uncle Pat, how are you?
Good. How you doing? How was your Father's Day?
You can always tell. Happy Father's Day. You can always tell an Italian talk show because it's a real estate show and we're talking about food. So I mean,
I started off with the food, with the brisket from Augie, and then I just got done picking cherries off the cherry tree with my granddaughters today.
Yeah, and I'm sitting by the water on my traditional Tuesday night. My wife made pasta fagioli, and then once we're done listening to your show, we go for our walk. That's our Tuesday routine. So
nice.
Let me get to my question.
Yes.
If you're a homeowner and you're going to sell your house, now you sell it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The seller sells it to the buyer.
Yes.
What is the seller's responsibility? Let's say 7-8 months later, the house starts peeling and they had it painted, or let's say something happens, there's a water leak in a ceiling, whatever. What is it buyer beware or the homeowner? I know builders, they give you a year warranty, try to get them back there. But what is it for the regular person like you and I when you sell a home? What is your obligation past? Let's say you sold your house today, the 18th of June. What is your obligation moving forward?
Yeah, moving forward for a homeowner, there is no responsibility. As long as when you go to sell a property in Connecticut, there is a disclosures that have to be filled out by the seller, and on the disclosures, you got to make sure that they're accurate, and that would be the only responsibility if you inadvertently or you weren't truthful on those disclosures. Saying, for instance, let's say. On the disclosure, you put down the roof is 3 years old, but really it was 30 years old. And then, 6 months later after you sell it, there's a giant leak in it. So, then you would be on the hook for that because especially, they could determine how old that roof was. And that could be
something like if you continually get like water in the basement, a little puddle or whatever.
That's correct. Yeah, that has to be. That all has to be. That all has to be disclosed on the Connecticut forms. There, disclosure forms from the state of Connecticut.
Right. Anything that that you misled the buyer. Oh no, that's fine. But if the driveway is cracked, they could see they got to do that.
Oh, yeah. Stuff like that, driveway, or all of a sudden the paint starts to chip off the exterior. I mean, that's not your responsibility. But all the hard, I would say the hard questions or the hard items like heating systems, roof, plumbing, electrical, all that big stuff, it's important that you get that and you disclose that correctly.
Right. And the other thing is, we finally got the sewer line fixed, from the sidewalk to the
good.
line.
Good.
And I have some young people renting, they're grad students, and I tell the young people all the time, don't turn away from houses built 1914, 1950, but 15, But if you're going to buy one of them, before you start, I tell my clients same thing. Before you start with the pretty stuff, send the scope down the sewer line and see if you got clay or plastic, and then check the roof. Always work from the top down and from the inside out. Don't be doing plants and lights and brick walks, and all of a sudden you got to do a roof. Always check that thing. Yeah. Don't do the driveway if you got a clay pipe in the ground.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, everybody wants to do the pretty stuff, but like you said, the older homes do need to be, like you said, checked out and take care of the big stuff, and then.
Right.
You don't want to be planting. Yeah, like you said, you don't want to be planting flowers and putting mulch out while you have an old heating system. Yeah, or an old heating system that's ready to blow up.
Yeah. Or if you're doing a roof, now there's your nice, yard landscaping, and now here's all the roofing shingles coming down. That's the big one, because when they put those tarps and that stuff sliding down, you really want to make sure, if you're a young person, you're buying a house, if the roof is, starting to wear out its welcome and you're going to be there a while, that's like a number one thing to take care of, because that's a mess. And why have your yard, you know what I'm saying? Do it first.
Absolutely.
Then paint the house, then plant the bushes, work from the inside out.
Absolutely.
All right, Uncle Pat, you have a wonderful
very good,
day.
Boz.
And,
thank you. Thank you for calling in. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good night.
Thank you, my friend. You too.
Yeah, I wasn't here last week because I had a prior engagement commitment, so it feels like I haven't been here, I don't know, in a month, I told my wife. But, you skip that 1 week, it seems like a big difference. But, all right, so getting on with the show, we do have a couple of spaces available in Shelton, commercial spaces. I mentioned this, I think, before. We have one that was a former beauty parlor. It's about 600 square feet in downtown Shelton area. That's available if you have any interest out there, if anybody knows anyone. And then next door to it, we have about 800 square foot space, retail or office space available. Again, downtown Shelton. If anybody's interested, please call my office at 203-736-2484. Again, you're listening to WICC 600 AM, 107.3 FM. All right, so what happened to Pasquale this week, Rich?
That's other than Father's Day being on Sunday and
right. No,
picking some cherries.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a good week. But I wanted to just bring it up. This is important. The reason I'm bringing this up, because a lot of people on the outside that are not familiar with the business or real estate, they just assume like the phones are constantly ringing off the hook with toilets, sinks, all kinds of issues. And the reason I brought this up is I would say 90% of our time is like everything is like smooth sailing in a sense, like it's not like a constant problems, and I just wanted to bring that up just to bring that to people's attention. Like it's just not constantly people calling in that there's a problem with the plumbing, toilets clogged, this, that, and the other. It happens on occasion, but I would say 90% of the time is just, taking care of business, daily business. And, again, that also depends on how many properties you're talking about or how many units. Obviously, if you have like 300 units or 500 units, Rich, of course that phone's going to be ringing every day for one thing or the other. But then again, if you have that many units, you're probably going to hire a professional property management company because that would warrant it. It would justify it, and then you're really out of the picture, and you're just in the background.
Because it probably depends, I would think, also on just general upkeep, that you have things that come up and you take care of it right away,
exactly.
So it doesn't create a larger problem down the road.
And that was going to be my next point. Like we're on top of our properties. We have a like this time of the year, which is grass cutting season. We have a maintenance guy that does all the properties of grass cutting, weed whacking. Just keeping the properties clean. And then same thing in the wintertime when it's snow time, we have the same thing. So, again, we stay on top of the properties. We have a regular schedule. So, like he says, it doesn't build up. Then all of a sudden, there's issues. And then, we check on the properties regularly, too, with the mechanicals or heating, roofs and stuff like that. So I just wanted to bring that up just for like I says, I get that question asked quite a bit of time, and I wanted to bring that up. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Got real estate questions? Call 203-333-9422 and ask Uncle Pat.
All right, thank you for coming back and tuning in. Rich just asked me a good question while we were on break. Go ahead and ask it again, Rich.
Yeah, if you have a business, an office-type building or anything that you're going to rent out to businesses, what is the requirement that you do for looking up the potential people that are going to be renting from that? Do you have to look up what if you don't want to have a factory in the lower part of the building and a doctor's office where it's going to be irritating to people?
Correct. Yes, and like I said, like I showed one of the properties that I mentioned tonight that we have available, and to a young couple that does they do like reselling through Amazon and eBay and stuff like that. But when I'm interviewing a tenant, I want to know specific, especially commercial tenant. I want to know specifically what they're doing, what their hours of operation. And, because I need to protect my other tenants that are there. That's my number one concern, because my number one concern is I don't want to disturb them, and I don't want to be disturbed, but I don't want to cause a conflict, for other people. So, and if it's not a good fit, like, for instance, this young couple that I showed today, I think it's a good fit because it's not like a retail operation. They're doing everything over the computer, like they're taking orders and packing them and shipping them and stuff like that. So it's not like a Cumberland Farms, like people are coming and going all day, or trucks are coming and going. So,
or you have heavy equipment of some sort.
Right, like you were saying, or if they have heavy equipment or something. But that's an absolute 100%. My number one thing when I'm interviewing tenants, that I need to know what you're doing, especially commercial tenants.
Now that's the responsibility of the owner of the building itself.
Right. Because, like you say, you don't want to put somebody that's got a construction business next to a doctor's office, or whatever the case.
Now, suppose you rent a space to somebody and they say, "This is the business I have," and then you come to find out as you're investigating, it's changed.
Yeah. Well, that's happened. And
is that something you would put in a lease?
Absolutely. In our lease, we specify specifically what type of business you're doing and what you're going to be operating. Again, to protect everybody's interests, because then, like you said, if they say this and then all of a sudden a month later it's that, or they're doing something totally different, then they're breaking the lease, and then you have to, unfortunately, if they don't agree to come to terms with what you have agreed upon, then you have to do an eviction or get some type of resolution.
Because it wouldn't work well if you've got a place that gives massages, like a spa type thing, on one side of the building, and the other side they've got somebody where they've got monstrous equipment and big trucks rolling in and out. That doesn't exactly go well.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have to take that all in consideration and look at the overall picture, because at the end of the day, you want everybody to be happy. Tenants, landlord, customers, the whole bit.
And you'd have to know what the zoning is for that area,
absolutely.
too.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up. Number one, you have to. Zoning is a very important issue, because you can't just, if you're in an industrial zone, you can't just open up like a retail operation, because that's not what it's zoned for, and vice versa. If you're in a retail zone, you can't have an industrial component in there. So. That's where the zoning comes in, and it's helpful, really. That's
why years ago down in Bridgeport along State Street that they used to have all those factories with Harvey Hubble and a number of the other ones that were there, because that's all it was, is factories.
Exactly.
So you didn't have people living there.
Correct. Yep. That's where zoning comes into play. All right, so we got mailbag this week. Let's see, I got a bunch of stuff. Holy mackerel at the time. All right, let's go right into a couple of topics here that I wanted to cover. I had an email from a gentleman, from Robert P. from Derby, about how do we handle pet policies for our rentals and security deposits. I'm going to touch on that real quick, and then there's a side note on the rental process too. As far as pet policies, believe it or not, Rich, when I started in this business, I was 150% against all pets, and I was like that probably for a good 20 years until we got a dog. Not we got a dog, but my daughter's boyfriend at the time came home with a little Shih Tzu puppy, and actually he's going to be 12 years old, so it's about 12 years ago. And that's when my pet policy changed for my properties.
It became a personal pet.
Yeah. So I really did. I understood after having a pet what it really meant. So our pet policy today is, again, this goes back to, I want to know number one, I need to know what type of pet it is, because insurances will not cover pit bulls, Doberman pinchers, a lot of different breeds. Your insurance is going to go through the roof. So that's the number one thing. And then we do have a limit, like on dogs. It has to be a small dog under a certain weight is what we do.
How about numbers wise? If somebody has like 4 dogs.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. There's a weight wise on dogs, and it's only one. It's either one cat or one dog, not multiple, because you got to kind of draw the line again. And the reason for this is I want to keep the other tenants happy. If you got one tenant that's got pets and you got the other 2 that don't, now all of a sudden, if whether they like them or not, or that it doesn't matter. But then all of a sudden, it creates a problem. Oh, they don't want cats. They're allergic to cats. This, that, so you have to take that all into consideration and keep that in mind.
I guess a herd of goats is out of the question.
That's for sure. I think one year or one time I had a tenant that had not an iguana, a ferret, and I didn't know about it. Have you ever seen those, Rich?
I not recently,
but they are. Let me tell you, they're not a very clean animal and not a very good pet to have, because the smell from that, and it was just a horrible experience with a ferret in an apartment. I don't understand it. So
something like that would be in the lease up front, because if somebody moves in and does not have a pet, then while they're there, then they get a pet.
Yeah, well, that's another situation, because we do have tenants that move in, and and sometimes they'll tell us up front, like, we don't have any pets right now, but we are considering one, and that's all right. Let me know what you're thinking. Cat or dog, whatever. And then when time comes, we'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. But they already know the terms ahead of time. And, most of the times it works out. We did have just recently a tenant not too long ago that moved in, elderly lady, and she had a dog that was up in age. I don't even know if hopefully he's still there with her, but he had a hard time going outside and everything else. But the tenants at first were very upset, and then they were understanding, because it was an older lady, and it was more companionship for her too. Also, that's what people don't realize. These pets do become like they're part of the family, and I understand that today, because with our dog, it's like he's one of our child.
You have a place for him at the table.
Not only at the table, he's sleeping in our bed with us. At first he says no. Then all of a sudden he's at the end of the bed. All right, so that's how our pet policy is done for our rentals. Our security deposit, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get into it, because I got a couple other things I want to talk to, but I'll cover that next week. And that was another thing. Next week's show, Rich, I got a guest coming in. One of my, I don't want to say students, but one of my younger investor.
Like somebody you're mentoring?
Yes, exactly. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Somebody that I've been mentoring for a couple of years will be on our show next week. He has he's a father. I think either a pastor or a reverend. He has 4 young kids, and what it reminds me of, his family is like the modern day version of Little House on the Prairie. They have all these. They do all this outdoor stuff. They have chicken coops in the backyard. They tap their own trees for maple syrup and everything. So it's pretty cool. He's going to be on our show next week, and we're going to do a little nice show next week, and he's going to give you his opinion about real estate investing that he's been doing probably, I don't know, for 5, 6, 7, 8 years now. And
now, is he in this area?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he's in the Milford area.
Okay.
Yeah, so he'll be here next week, and we're going to have a nice show next week. And how much time we got, Rich? 3
minutes.
All right. So we're going to go right into, let's see here. I guess it's early for the closing statement. Closing notes, closing statement. I got real estate on my brain. Closing statement. Quick note from Fannie Mae newsletter here. It says Fannie Mae home purchase sentiment index sank to all-time low in May of this year with a 2.5% drop to 69.4%. It said last month only 14% of consumers polled for the survey felt that it was a good time to buy a home, down from 20% in the previous month, while the sharing believing is a good time to sell dropped from 67% to 64%. So again, the reason I brought this up is real estate also has a lot to do with perception, Rich. You know, whether it's a good time to buy, a good time to sell. So that has a big factor in it. And I just wanted to bring that to the audience attention that it has been dropping. It dropped a little bit. And it says percentage of respondents who predicted home prices will go up in the next 12 months remained unchanged, while the percentage of home sales will go down remained unchanged, blah, blah, blah. Share of forecast, price increase, felt that the mortgage rates would come down in the next 12 months. But, you know, people ask me that all the time. What do you think? Are the rates coming down? If I knew that, I wouldn't be doing this show. Right, Rich? I mean, you know, going on past experience, the rates do come down, but who knows? I mean, I feel like if the rates come down now, you're going to have bidding wars again, and it's going to bring more buyers in compared to what you have today. So,
and I would think it kind of gets based on the economy overall as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like anything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interest rates go up and down.
Absolutely. So, and then another quick note from Fannie Mae. It says all nationwide mortgage applications for the week of May, ending May 31st. It says overall mortgage applications, Rich, are down 5.2%. Purchase are down 4%, and refinances are down 7% for the month of May. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Well, there was a story I saw last week that said for younger people, because their salaries are much lower, that it's very difficult for a lot of them to get buy a new house.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So that's it for this week's show. I'm going to just go over my closing notes. Remember, buy assets, not liabilities. And if your home is a single-family property, that's not an asset. Remember, pay yourself first. Remember, we make a living from 9 to 5. You become financially independent from 5 to midnight. And always stay positive. Buonasera a tutti. Alla prossima settimana. Thank you for tuning in to the Real Estate Show with your host, Pat Civitella. God bless America.